Personal weapons for 54 contentious years here in South Carolina, and now that is going to happen in a brief, dignified ceremony that should be getting underway at any moment because the governor's in place, and now the honor guard is in place. We expect this to begin any moment.
And Ron, let me interrupt for a second. We also have Chuck Todd standing by in Washington, and Chuck, as the ceremony is about to take place, and Governor Haley did speak, she was a changed person after those murders at that church. Talk about the significance of this happening at this moment in our nation's history.
Matt, it's unbelievable when I think about sort of my career covering presidential politics. It always goes through South Carolina. This flag has been so contentious for so long, and it just seemed an intractable debate. And then all of a sudden it is not. The fact that it took a tragedy to do today, 2015, that will be on the epitaph of the Confederate battle flag. It feels that way. It feels like the country's moved on. And I have to tell you, it's a lesson in leadership that others who are in elected office ought to watch, because the three of them pulled this off together, obviously Governor Haley being the lead here. But I think if they don't lock arms, this doesn't happen as swiftly and as momentously as it is.
Yeah, and Governor Haley spoke to us here on the Today Show this morning and talked about the families of those who lost their lives at that AME church, and said that their grace and forgiveness changed her and also changed the mood in South Carolina and this country, and forced people to look at what we have in common, not what divides us. And yet, Chuck and Ron, I'll let you chime in after that, you know, we have to remember there are an awful lot of people in South Carolina who are going to watch this, and for them it's a defeat. For them, they see it as a losing or a loss of their heritage, and they're going to be angry about this.
And Matt, make no mistake, there'll be some political repercussions for a state legislator, a state senator.
Earlier, the same honor guard that served at the state funeral in South Carolina for State Senator and Reverend Clemente Pinckney. Let's watch. You can hear chants in the background continuing, "Take it down." We were told this would be simple and dignified, lasting 5 minutes or 10 minutes. Once the flag is taken down, it will be handed over to the man who runs the relic room at the Confederate Museum about a mile away from the state capitol there in Columbia, South Carolina. We're told it will be displayed appropriately. I'm not really sure exactly what that means. Expect you'll hear a cheer as this flag starts to come down. Ron Allen, can you hear me?
Yes, Matt.
Just give me a sense for what you're seeing and hearing.
I hear a lot of emotion. I see a lot of teary eyes. I see a lot of people straining to take in every second of this moment. I see a lot of relief. I see some anger. I see some small Confederate flags in the crowd. And I've heard those voices so loudly and clearly who point out that this is a memorial to tens of thousands of young men and women who gave their lives for a cause that they were told to go fighting, the Civil War. And those supporters of this flag don't care whether it was wrong or right. They want their loved ones, their ancestors honored. I should point out that the flag on that pole sits in front of a Confederate soldier memorial. It's one of the largest memorials on the State House grounds, and it sits very prominently in the front. So as you drive by the Capitol, that is the first thing you see. The flag, of course, will not be there any longer, but others point out that that is enough of a monument, along with many others here, to honor the memory of those soldiers. But this is a moment when South Carolina is really desperate, trying to move on. And it's just not about public sentiment. Remember, there were major retailers like Walmart, eBay, Sears, others who came out and said that they will no longer deal with Confederate memorabilia. There has been a ban by the NCAA of having championship sports, college sports here in South Carolina because of this flag, and that has now been lifted. In the debate in the House the other night, a lot of representatives emphasized the economic impact that this flag being here has had on South Carolina, and the hope that that will now change. Again, bursts of applause, people yelling, "Take it down." The hope here is that this will help this place move on. And what I really see, Matt, what I'm focusing on is the faces of the loved ones who lost at Mother Emanuel Church. There is a large contingent here. I also see the pastor of that church, Reverend Norval Goff, who has had to preside over 9 separate funerals in the past couple of weeks. We went to many of those funerals. They were emotional, they were gut-wrenching, they were also inspiring because of the forgiveness and the grace that these families have shown throughout this, as we can now see the flag being marched across the State House grounds. But I see a lot of tears in the eyes of those families. I see some measure of relief. I see also, and I heard them talk about how bittersweet this is because it took the lives of their loved ones to make this happen. And those 9 were such innocent and ordinary people. A librarian, a track coach, a young man who had just finished college and who was dreaming of being a barber, an entrepreneur. Mothers, fathers, grandfathers, the oldest 74, the youngest 26.
Ron, let me jump in for a second. We're watching that flag being handed over to Alan Roberson. He's the director of the South Carolina Confederate Relic Room and Military Museum, and it will then go off to that museum to be displayed or stored from now on, not to be flown at the state capitol again. And Chuck, to bring you back in, we saw Governor Haley there standing on the steps of the Capitol. So much attention on her over these last several weeks, and so much praise, also so much criticism. What has this done to impact her career and her political future?
Well, look, you can't help but say that this is a case where her acts as a governor